Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. I'm repeating my video on why do you want mediation or a guardian ad litem. The reason why I asked that is what's the point of a guardian ad litem or a mediator? Or, yeah, because like I say in my video on my YouTube channel, mediation is a scam. If you can agree with the mother, why would you go to a mediator, have your attorney write up a bunch of paperwork to present to the mediator to talk about and negotiate and go back and forth for hours when you already agree with, let's say you guys agree on 60-40. She gets 60%, you get 40%, sell the house or whatever. You agree to all those terms, just write them down and file them and get it over with. If you're going to mediation in the hopes of agreeing, then you could agree without mediation. Just call the attorney and have your attorney call her attorney. But I never deal with attorneys, so I don't have to worry about going through a third party and them not telling me what's going on. But if you have an attorney, you should tell them to follow the rules of professional conduct and let you know what's going on because they have to do that. So if you can't get along and you know you're not going to settle, she has you on supervised visits and you want 50-50 and you guys are so far apart there's no chance of you settling, why the hell are you going to mediation? And a lot of people say, well, it's required in my state. Why don't you tell the judge, make an exception for mediation? You're requiring me to pay thousands, hundreds, or thousands of dollars to go to mediation to not negotiate. They've already told us they're not going to settle for less than this. We are so far apart, mediation is just going to be a wasted expense. You can't induce a wasted expense upon me for something that's frivolous and a waste of time. That's not the purpose of the court. That's kind of common sense. But a lot of you guys quit immediately when somebody says, oh, it's the rule. Oh, okay, it's the rule. I guess I got to bow down and worship the rule, and there's no exceptions to it. We know there's rules of evidence for court, but in domestic violence proceedings, they make an exception to that. You don't have to do it then. If you agree to a non-traditional trial, they'll throw out the rules of evidence on that. And they'll skip a bunch of procedures. There's always exceptions to the rule, but you guys sometimes are such clowns and such obedient slaves that whatever somebody tells you on the first thing out of their mouth, you never question it, you never challenge it, and you never even ask the simple question, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we going to mediation when we can't get along? Why do I got to pay you $1,000, the mediator $1,000? She's got to pay her attorney $1,000 just for us to sit down and not agree. Because there's a scam built into the system. And the courts think that you got to try mediation because you got to try and work it out because 90% of cases work out. And I don't want to take this to trial because I don't like doing trials. So we're pushing that for our own personal selfish reasons. Especially if I'm the respondent, I'm not the petitioner. I'm going to say, so they dragged me in court to have you guys resolve our dispute. And you're ordering me to pay thousands of dollars to attempt to agree with somebody that's not agreeable and intransigent and won't work with me? You're out of your damn mind. I'm not doing no mediation. I have a constitutional right to go to trial. You can't deny me my right to trial and confront witnesses and my fundamental fairness doctrine, the right to answer and respond and confront witnesses and question and examine. Are you telling me if I don't go to this forced paid mediation and give $1,000 to your buddy lawyer who you go to the same coke snorting parties with, that I can't have my day in court? Do they do that to a defendant in a rape case or a murder case? Oh, you better go and negotiate to cop a plea or we're not going to let you have a trial. You don't do that there. We only do that in family court where it's a $50 billion industry and you want to prey upon and network and have this whole web of financial institutions that make profit off of, what's going on here. But you'll never say that because you're too scared. So go ahead and go to mediation. I don't care. I'm done with my family court case. I'm trying to tell you guys stuff. If you actually grow some balls and stand up, you'll save yourself thousands of dollars. But why would you go to mediate? Why would you go and do something that you know won't work? Let's say you have a vehicle that's dead. I don't know. Let's say the transmission is out and you've had a couple overhauls or it's on its last leg. Engine is out, there's parts that are out, or it's an older car and there's no new parts accommodating it. Would you take it to the shop to fix it when you know they can't fix it and pay thousands of dollars to a mechanic shop? Doesn't that sound stupid? You know the car is a lemon or it's dead and there's no recovery unless you do a total rebuild from the inside out. But that would cost more than just get another car or whatever. Why would you go take it to a shop or a mechanic who says, "Oh, we can't work with it"? Well, let me just pay you a couple thousand just to give it a try. I know it won't work, but let's just give it a try for the fun of it. Why would you do that? That's just as stupid as you going to mediation when you can't work it out with her. And if you can work it out, say, "Hey, so we kind of agree on everything. Let's just write it up. Let's not go to mediation." You can settle any time you want to on your court case. Do you know that? You must know that. If you don't know that, how the hell do you not know that? If you and somebody agree to resolve a dispute, you think you have to go to an official mediation to resolve it? Your attorneys could just write it up and file it and sign it and file it with the court. They have to show you. So is this the way we wanted it? They work for you, remember? So you guys got to get this mentality. This is my case in my life. You were hired to represent and advocate for my position. You're not here to represent your position on my family. You don't have to live the rest of your life with the consequences of my case. You don't have to live with the repercussions of me not seeing my kids or not having this or not having that or not having a home. You can't just go in there and say, "Oh, well, you just have to settle for this." It's my life, a-hole. How are you going to tell me how to live the rest of my life and not advocate for? Well, there's a chance you might not win. So go for it anyway. I talked to a guy. He said his attorney said you're lucky if you get every other weekend in a California case. California law says they want frequent and continuing contact. And this stupid airheaded attorney of his said you're lucky if you get every other weekend. He's saying you don't even have a chance at the status quo that's below frequent and continuing contact in the law. These people are insane and you just tolerate it. When I had an attorney, Goldberg and Jones, I have a video on them in my YouTube channel. There's a section that talks about, on YouTube, you have different categories or different playlists. One of them is about corrupt judges and lawyers. And I have a thing on Goldberg and Jones. If you type in "how I got custody, Goldberg and Jones" in the YouTube search bar, you'll find that. They said you'll get every other weekend probably. I said, I live 3 blocks from the mother. I work at night. I could have my daughter at least during the day instead of her going to daycare. You'll probably still get every other weekend. Goldberg and Jones, a father's rights law firm. They specifically advertise as father's rights. I hung up on their face and I went to court and got 5 days a week after they told me I'll get only every other weekend. And then 7 months later, I got full custody. Why do you think I don't? So you guys think I'm some kind of a-hole. Oh, you don't follow the code. You don't follow protocol. You don't listen to clerks. And if I'm going to listen to a clerk or a facilitator at the courthouse, now they could give you some insight if they answer your question. Okay, you're saying I have to do this, I have to do that. Where's the rule on that, please? Or else you're just giving me your own personal legal advice. You follow up and say, where do you get that from? Why are you telling me I have to do this? Where's the rule on it? So you want to ask questions, why and where do you get that from? If you ask, where do you get that from, anytime you have a discussion with somebody, you will be the smartest person in the room. When you're debating somebody, when you're talking about the meaning of life, who built the pyramids, whether there's aliens, God's existence, whether, I don't know, politics or whatever. You ask somebody their position or their belief. Okay, where do you get that from? Oh, somebody told me or the news said it. Okay, where did they get that from? Oh, I don't know. Or I read somebody in a book. Okay, where did they get that? That's one person's opinion. There's been tens of billions of people who lived in the history of the world. You're going off of one person's. Oh, they did a lot of research. How do you know? It's all you see is some pages in a book. So you should be asking, why the hell are we doing whatever we're doing here? Why are we having a guardian ad litem? A guardian ad litem is just going to interview you and interview the mother and tell the court what you guys said. You could do that yourself. You could go to the court and tell the court what you think and what you say yourself. You don't need to tell a guardian ad litem so they could tell the court this is what the father said. You see how stupid that is? But see, none of you sit down and think for just a second. If you would just think for just a second, and some of you haven't figured out, like, this doesn't make any sense, but I'm too scared to say anything to anybody, so I just obey my attorney. I never question anything, and I follow marching orders, just like Hitler's henchmen. They said, their excuse was, we were just following orders. So when you don't have a life with your kid and your kid's alienated, you're going to tell your kid, hey, I was just following orders. You understand, don't you, that I missed out on 17 years of your life? Why are you doing what you're doing? Guardian ad litems and mediators are the biggest scam. Now, there's some things that you can use as leverage in those situations when you have to have them, but they're a scam. Why are you doing